Sambhopaya, it's called the fast stage. The Shiva Sutras have 3 padas, 3 distinct awakening states. And the fast state is Sambhopada. So Sambhopada basically elaborates the sutras, which helps one to gain the insight from the Guru. In the Sambhopada, the stage 1 after the sutra. So basically it starts from Chaitanya. Chaitanya means universal consciousness, which is Shiva, and it goes to the second sutra, which is Jnanam Bandham. Knowledge is the bondage. So you see, all the problems we face in our life, all kinds of mishappening, whatever we are facing, there is a root of this, and the root of this is the limited knowledge. These activities basically are the indicator of the creative process. In a sense, with looking at this stream of activities, we can understand the creative process. Mantras are the base of the knowledge. Or elevation of consciousness. That means that when you move consciousness to higher consciousness, there is an ascension of consciousness. So that ascension of consciousness, which you are meaning, that is called Bhairava. So basically, when we go from limited knowledge to highest knowledge, or to the self we say as highest knowledge, then there is an ascension of consciousness. So consciousness drives up. So you start seeing things from a different perspective, and that is called Bhairava. So Bhairava, one way, it's a very strong form of Shiva. But when you see, it is a strong form, yet it is a form which actually destroys the delusion which you have. And it helps you to move from lower to higher consciousness. Union. So when you move from the lower consciousness to higher consciousness, when you have an union, so the universe disappears. Why the universe disappears? Because the more you move on the higher consciousness, and more you can become union with the energies of higher consciousness, more you see that this universe is just a production of the thoughts which you might be thinking, and which the collective mind might be thinking. So universe is a sum total of appearances made out of the objectification of the thoughts of the collective mind. Jagrata sapna susupta bhede turiya bogha sambhava. See, when this universe disappears, suppose a person has moved on the higher union with the higher level of Shaktis, then what happens? This universe disappears. And when the universe has disappeared, then what? He can experience a statelessness. Even when he is coming back to these 3 states, the waking, dreaming and the deep sleep, he is experiencing that there is A turiya means the fourth state, a statelessness in all these three states. He is becoming an witness. In all these three states, he is becoming an witness. Jnanam Jagrat. So that is when a person, that is when a person goes out, and when we talk about, you start with the idea called Jnanam Bandha, and then you are moving to an idea called Jnanam Jagrat. So what is the difference between these two? If you look at it, Jnanam Bandha is what we call as limited knowledge. What do we mean by limited knowledge? Now, limited knowledge means that when you learn by association. So whenever you are learning in the world, when you are acquiring a knowledge, you are acquiring by a reference object, by associating with a reference object. But the inner knowledge, the knowledge which is coming from inside, could not have any reference object, because it's something where if you go and you learn or you know by reference object, there is a scope of diluting that knowledge, because if the knowledge will be at that level, the sphere will be on that level as much as the reference object could actually get into. So here the knowledge comes without any association. You have no external objects, because in the inner world there is no external object. You cannot think out of an external thought, and you cannot build an idea from an external object and pull that idea and say that this is this and this is not this. So it's all an experiencing. So the Jnanam Jagrat is the experiencing of awakening. So that knowledge actually moves inside and you become awakened. So that is Jnanam Jagrat. And then when he's coming Shwapna Vikalpa. So it says that when you Swapna Vikalpa means that the thought waves in the mind. So there are a lot of thought waves in the mind which comes, and each of these thought waves creates the dreams. So all the dreams which you experience, because there is one body in the waking consciousness, and that body is becoming a multiple body in a dream state. How is it becoming? So this whole phase of turning one body into a multiple, because the same body is now, when he's going into dream, he's saying so many bodies. In a dream, if you see a particular chasing scene, you are seeing a dream of a chasing scene, and you are seeing that your same body has become so many bodies. So the whole idea is what? His idea is that these thought waves are now becoming images, and these images are actually creating the dreams. So when you try to go back and say that why does this universe was there at the first place? It was there because of your thoughts. It is because of the thoughts of the collective mind. And when you rise up, you can see that statelessness. But then you can go back and see that when an awakening experience happens, then how does this all dream layer remains? And that's where you come into the next sutra. It says that Tritiya Bhakta Viresha. Tritiya Bhakta Viresha. So when you can see this, that all these states, when you can see in the dream different thoughts moving around, what happens? You can see that these dreams, what you see, these thoughts, when you can observe all these thoughts which happens in the layer of dream, when you can see all these thoughts which happen in the layer of deep sleep, when you can see all these thoughts which happens in the waking state, when you can observe yourself completely, your inner personality, the movements of the sensation, movements of the thoughts, movements of different kind of perspectives, then you have mastered the senses. So how this mastery of senses happens? It's when your capability to observe grows. That means you at this point of time might not see anything happening. But when this experiencer grows, it sees that all these things which is happening, it sees that what is responsible for this outer world is that inner movements of thought, inner movements of sensation, inner movements of feeling, inner movements of perspectives. And when you can see this, you can see the inner world, and at the same time you can see the outer world. You can see that each thought is growing, and with that same growth there is an outer world, there is an appearance in the outer world which is growing. So these entire synchronization, that is a synchronization is existing between inner world and outer world, and that synchronization becomes visible to you. You can see that how exactly this your mind, the collective mind is working, and how it is creating the world. The world is creating every moment, and it is getting dissolved every moment, and how this creation is happening, this beautiful form of creation and dissolution which is constantly happening. You can visualize this, right? And then you come to the next sutra. It says what? Vista Vishnayo Yoga Bhumitrika. Now you keep in wonder. You are completely embarrassed with the wonder. That is the wonder which happens when you see that all these thoughts, all these feelings, all these sensations are constantly turning into the world, and it is constantly getting objectified. The consciousness is getting. Then you become. There's a wonder which comes in you, right? And then you understand, that's like sutta which is called Ichha Shakti Kruma Kumari. Ichha Shakti Uma Kumari. Then you see that the willpower is the Uma, the course of the Uma, the goddess Uma. The Ichha Shakti, that the will, your will, the divine will and the individual will, they are getting combined, and the whole universe is the body of the will. So all this will is turning actually, these all things what you are seeing is the expression of the will. The whole body of the universe is the expression. It says next to the Drishayam Sariram. This whole Ichha Shakti has actually turned into a body. It's visualized. It has become objects. That's a Drishayam Sariram. And then you come Hidaya Chitsa Gattad Atsya Baddarasaram. So in the heart of consciousness there is a void which appears. This void what we talk about in heart consciousness. This void is not a void on its true sense. What we understand, this void is a void which is full of light, full of bliss, full of everything. Right? And he goes on saying that once you go and understand this, you can meditate on the Shiva Tattya. The Shiva Tattya means the root element. So root element on which all these elements appear and disappear. It's because this root element is there, all these elements are appearing and disappearing. So you look at it when you are when you are meditating on the root element, that is Shiva Tattva, all the bondages, we call it Pashu, the animalistic tendencies, they move away.